Doctor." Lena Sorensen's heart pounded as she sprinted down the corridors of the United Nations Space Agency headquarters. The message had come through only minutes ago on a secure channel anomaly detected. "Alien ship inbound for Earth landing. Scramble First Contact team immediately." After decades of listening to the cosmos and sending messages into the void, humanity was about to have its first encounter with an extraterrestrial intelligence. Lena, as lead xenobiologist on the contact team, would be among the first to interface with the visitors. She burst into the briefing room to controlled chaos, agitated conversations overlapping as experts from a dozen fields poured over the scant available data. Telemetry confirmed the massive alien vessel, easily 15 kilometers long, was decelerating from light speed on a trajectory to land in the Gobi Desert. Director Matheson, a stern older woman who had helmed the agency through its leanest years, called them to order. "I'll keep this brief, people." At 0300 UTC, an unknown spacecraft of clearly non-human origin was detected approaching Earth. As Matheson went through the details, Lena's mind raced ahead. Who were these visitors and what did they want? The sheer scale of their ship indicated technology centuries beyond Earth's. An interstellar journey would be a trivial undertaking for a race so advanced. Why travel all this way? To make peaceful first contact? Or did they have more sinister intentions? She listened with half an ear. As the specifics of the mission were outlined, they were to take a series of transports to the projected landing site, make contact, and attempt to communicate with the aliens to determine their purpose. Before she knew it, Lena found herself strapped into a hypersonic transport jet speeding eastward over Eurasia. The rest of the contact team were arrayed around her doctor, Suresh Singh, the renowned mathematician and codebreaker Colonel Ava Riggs, the unflappable Army Ranger Jack Ventari, the roguish pilot, and a dozen more experts and support personnel. They were the best of the best, but would it be enough? After hours lost in swirling thoughts and gnawing unease, they finally descended towards a spot in the middle of the vast Gobi. And there, gleaming under the harsh sun like a mountain of seamless chrome, was the alien ship. It was utterly breathtaking in its alienness and scale, all sweeping curves and strange geometry. A hush fell over the team as they disembarked and made their cautious approach in environment suits, alert for any sign of activity. Suddenly, a sharp hiss sounded, and a portal irised open in the ship's hull. Lena's heart seized as a being emerged, bipedal but taller than a man, with mottled gray-blue skin, an elongated hairless skull, and fathomless black eyes. It wore some form of close-fitting suit that shimmered with opalescence. The alien raised a four-fingered hand in what seemed a peaceful gesture. Then a voice sounded in Lena's mind, bypassing her ears. "Greetings, Homo sapiens of Earth. I am Zindar of the Vol Protectorate. We have come to usher your species to its rightful place in the galactic community." Lena and the others froze, astonished by the telepathic communication. She stepped forward, heart hammering, and projected her thoughts. "I am Dr. Lena Sorensen. We welcome you in peace. Why have you traveled to our world? Your species has taken its first steps into the cosmos and drawn the attention of the Galactic Council," Zindar replied. "We wish to extend an invitation to join our enlightened federation of civilizations and share the secrets of the universe." A wave of excitement passed through the team. This was beyond their wildest imaginings, not just first contact, but an offer to join an advanced interstellar union. The things humanity could learn, the boundaries they could cross. Over the following days, a sense of euphoria gripped the world as the news spread. The Vol were paragons of enlightenment, Zindar explained, a race that had long ago transcended scarcity, suffering, and petty conflict. Under their guidance, humanity would be transformed, elevated into an equitable utopia free of strife and want. World leaders clamored to meet the visitors and learn at their feet. The Vol obliged, sharing tantalizing samples of their science and philosophy. Zindar and his fellows were gracious but aloof, radiating an aura of benevolent superiority. They promised a glorious future, but the steps to get there would be trying. Old ways must be surrendered, outmoded beliefs and structures torn down and rebuilt. But the reward would be an Earth-made paradise. Only Lena felt the first gnawing unease. Wasn't this all too good to be true? Each meeting with the Vol left her with the uncanny sense of some essential thing unspoken, a subtle wrongness beneath the shimmering veneer. She took her concerns to her superiors but was rebuffed. She was imagining things, letting paranoia taint the most momentous turning point in history. But Lena couldn't shake her disquiet. As she pored over every scrap of data on the aliens, discrepancies emerged. Quantum dating scans suggested their ship was far older than they claimed. Their genome showed signs of manipulation beyond any natural evolution. And everywhere they went, the Vol quietly seated sophisticated monitoring devices, all feeding data to some unknown point beyond Earth. Cold realization crystallized in Lena's chest. The Vol were not humanity's saviors, but their implacable conquerors. What need for overt force when you could simply subvert a civilization from within? Win over leaders, shape ideologies, induce dependency on your technology and teachings until humanity were vassals in all but name? She had to warn the others, reveal the Vol's insidious schemes before it was too late. But when she brought her case to Director Matheson, the older woman simply smiled a chilling, unnatural expression. "Oh, Lena," she sighed. "Why couldn't you just accept the inevitable like the rest? There's no place for relics like you in the New Order." At her gesture, Lena was seized by blank-faced agents, dragged away to an uncertain fate. Colonel Ava Riggs, pride of the Unsere Rangers, stifled her unease as her dropship knifed through the roiling nebula. Around her, the men and women of Stryker Platoon fidgeted and checked their weapons, faces cast in hard lines. One way or another, the war would end today. 3 years ago, when the Vol ships first darkened Earth's skies, Ava had been among the voices urging acceptance, even celebration. But that was before the changes, the steady erosion of freedoms, the pervasive surveillance, the realignment camps for dissenters who resisted the new paradigm. Officially, Earth was a happy member of the Vol Protectorate, a junior affiliate gratefully accepting their alien patrons' munificent guidance. The reality was a world of informers and paranoia, humanity shackled by their own submission. The resistance formed in scattered cells, soldiers and scientists, and ordinary folk awakening to the gilded cage the Vol had built around them. Colonel Riggs found herself among them, the tattered reminder of her oath to defend humanity against all threats burning in her chest. Through strike and counterstrike, atrocity and retribution, the rebels fought to throw off the Vol's hegemony. But the aliens were too entrenched, their human catspaws too numerous. The UNSA had been suborned from within, its leaders' strings wrenched by Vol manipulators. In desperation, the resistance had prepared a final gambit to cut off the head of the snake. They would strike at the Vol command ship directly. The dropship shuddered around Ava as the frigate Indomitable ran the gauntlet of the Vol's orbital defenses. Energy beams crisscrossed the void, and the frigate served as their armor, drawing fire to its reinforced hull. But the dropship would have to make the final approach alone. 1 minute, the pilot shouted over the din of battle. "Command ship dead ahead. Hangar portal identified." "All right, strikers," Ava roared, shouldering her particle rifle. "Target is the Vol commander, designation Overlord. We breach, we clear, we eliminate the target no matter the cost. Go in hot and hit him hard." The Rangers shouted in assent, the fire of purpose burning in their eyes. For most, this was a mission of vengeance, to repay the Vol for the suffering inflicted on their world. But some were driven by a higher calling. In the bowels of this ship languished a figure who had first tried to warn them of the Vol's intentions, Dr. Lena Sorensen, the spurned prophetess. If she still lived, they had to save her. The dropship lurched, and the hangar portal loomed before them, a yawning black hexagon swallowing their tiny craft. Flashes strobed beyond the portal, and the sharp bark of alien weapons reached their ears. The Resistance frigate must have launched a simultaneous assault on the vessel's superstructure as a diversion. It was now or never. Go, 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 Ava bellowed as the ship touched down, hitting the release for the assault ramp. It crashed down and the Rangers surged forward into a scene of chaos. Clouds of acrid smoke billowed across the hangar as Vol crew and mechanical sentinels struggled to repel the boarders from the frigate. Stryker Platoon hit their flank like a hammer, particle beams and grenades laying waste to the defenders. They pushed forward to the portal leading to the ship's habitat section, boots ringing on the alien alloy deck. Vol crew surged to meet them, all mottled gray skin and ugly snouts, hissing with malice. A vicious firefight unfolded in the tight confines, strobing energy beams and sizzling flesh. But the Rangers were elite, each worth a dozen Vol, and they pushed forward over the corpses of the enemy. Ava led from the front, teeth bared in a feral snarl. An armored Vol loomed ahead, a hulking aberration grafted with cybernetic weaponry, one of the Overlord's bodyguards. She drilled its skull with a burst of fire and kicked the smoldering ruin aside, hardly breaking stride. At last they reached the command sanctum. an ominous sphere suspended over a shadowy chasm. Ava paused at the threshold, suddenly struck by the magnitude of the moment. What if Lena was gone, her warning long lost? What if they failed here? And the vole crushed the last ember of resistance. Would her daughter grow up a slave in a conquered world? She quelled her doubts and gathered the Rangers with a hand signal. They stacked up, primed a breaching charge, and tensed. Whatever waited beyond this portal, they would face it together, for Earth and for all free species. Ava whispered a final prayer and nodded. The breaching charge thundered and the portal blew inward in a spray of shrapnel. The Rangers hurtled through, fanning out with weapons trained. At the far end of the chamber stood a towering figure wreathed in shadow, attended by a phalanx of armored guards. Between them knelt a smaller form, head downcast, hands bound. Pitiful apes, the figure intoned, voice reverberating from the walls. The Overlord stepped forward, and the shadows fell away to reveal a monstrous amalgam of flesh and metal, an unholy melding of vole and machine. Its eyes were pools of utter black. Your species was weighed and found wanting, it went on. In your current form, you are unfit to ascend to the Protectorate's glorious purpose. Surrender, submit to the necessary modifications, and you may yet be of some small use. Go to hell, Ava spat. Humanity will never kneel to invaders again. She and the other Rangers opened fire, particle beams converging on the cyborg tyrant. But the Overlord merely waved a hand, and their shots spattered against an unseen barrier, dissipating harmlessly. Obstinate to the end, the thing sighed. If you will not embrace ascension, you will instead face excision. The vole have no use for a race of rebellious cattle. Your homeworld will be scoured clean and repopulated by more worthy beings. Ava felt her heart clench. She hurled herself at the barrier, launching blow after blow in futile desperation. Behind her, the Rangers did the same, spending the last of their strength in a doomed bid to break through. But the Overlord only laughed, a hideous electronic sound. It raised an arm, and the guards leveled their weapons for a final volley. Suddenly, the kneeling figure rose and knocked the nearest guard aside. In a single fluid motion, she snatched up the guard's energy lance and thrust it into the base of the Overlord's skull, the spot where metal gave way to pallid flesh. The thing loosed an ungodly shriek and spasmed, its shield flickering and falling away. Ava wasted no time. She drilled the Overlord with a sustained particle burst until it collapsed into a twitching heap, fluids leaking from its ruptured form. The guards fell swiftly after, no match for the enraged Rangers. Ava turned to the woman who had saved them and reeled back in shock. "Lena," she gasped. "Is that you?" Lena Sorensen, the vole's first prisoner, offered a wan smile. She was gaunt, her hair streaked with gray, but the defiant fire still burned in her eyes. "You came," she rasped. "I always knew Earth would remember." As the two women clutched each other, a cheer rang through the Rangers' comms from the assault on the ship's superstructure. The vole's command vessel was crippled, its fleet in disarray. For the first time in years, victory was within the Resistance's grasp. In the days that followed, as the Vol were routed from Earth orbit and their protectorate unraveled, Lena recounted her ordeal, her initial imprisonment, her despair at seeing humanity so completely deceived. But she never lost hope, never stopped searching for some chink in the Overlord's armor. And when she found it, she was ready to make the sacrificial blow. Ava listened in awe, humbled by this woman's unbreakable will. The road ahead would be long as they healed Earth's wounds and took its first true steps into the galactic community. The Vol had sown distrust of aliens that would take generations to fully uproot, but they would not face that future alone. Already, First Contact was underway with civilizations who had also thrown off the Vol's yoke, species eager to band together and forge bonds of cooperation, not conquest. A new federation would rise from the Protectorate's ashes. One Ava and Lena would help guide to a brighter tomorrow. The Vol had been wrong. Humanity's ascension was just beginning. With the Vol threat eliminated and their Protectorate collapsing into disarray, a new era dawned for Earth and the galaxy at large. The first priority was healing the deep scars left by the occupation. Under Lena and Ava's guidance, a Truth and Reconciliation Commission was established to bring the Vol's crimes to light and begin the long process of rebuilding trust. Collaborators who had aided the alien regime faced trial, while those coerced into compliance were given a path to restitution. It was a delicate balance, sating the thirst for justice while avoiding the temptation of vindictive purges. Lena became a global icon, her suffering and resilience a symbol of humanity's unconquerable spirit. In the ensuing power vacuum left by the Protectorate's fall, Earth took its first tentative steps onto the galactic stage. Ava, now a general, led the UNSA's efforts to establish diplomatic contact with the myriad species emerging from the VL's shadow. Many were wary, fearful that humanity sought to claim the Protectorate's mantle and become the new hegemons. It fell to Ava to convince them of Earth's peaceful intentions, that their goal was cooperation, not dominion. Lena proved an invaluable asset, her ordeal granting her moral authority and a unique insight into the scars left by the Vol. Emissaries from a dozen species journeyed to Earth to take the measure of the upstart newcomers. There were the crystalline Vandari, ethereal and long-lived, who had retreated into isolationism during the occupation. The fierce Crocs, bearing still raw wounds from their valiant resistance against the Vol. The enigmatic Kyothar, masters of cybernetics forced to augment their soldiers to survive the Protectorate's onslaught, and many more besides. A kaleidoscope of cultures both strange and wondrous. Tentative ties were forged, then strengthened through acts of solidarity and goodwill. Human ships brought aid to worlds ravaged by the Vol's scorched earth tactics. Crocs warriors served as honor guards at memorials for Earth's fallen. Bandari archivists shared ancient knowledge to help cleanse Vol corruption from planetary networks. Slowly, inexorably, a new interstellar community began to coalesce, but the galaxy was far from tamed. In the far reaches of what had been Vol space, feudal warlords carved out pocket empires, raiding worlds left defenseless in the Protectorate's collapse. Remnants of the Vol leadership, the fanatical purists, launched vicious attacks on their former subjects, punishing them for their betrayal. As the new alliance worked to impose order, Ava often found herself on the front lines, leading strike teams against marauders and insurgents. Each world they helped stabilize, each tyrant they toppled, brought them one step closer to a true and lasting galactic peace. Meanwhile, Lena threw herself into unlocking the secrets of the Vol's advanced science. Much had been lost in the war's destructive climax, and the Protectorate's archives were strewn with gaps and falsehoods intended to keep younger species dependent. But Lena was relentless in her pursuit of knowledge. Breakthroughs came in fields of medicine, energy production, and faster-than-light navigation. Humanity and their new allies stood on the threshold of a technological renaissance, one that promised to transform their civilizations and spread abundance to the farthest reaches of the galaxy. With each passing year, Earth and its fellow free worlds grew more prosperous and more tightly woven together. Joint colonization efforts seeded new life on once barren planets. Combined defense fleets patrolled the space lanes, beating back the depredations of pirates and warlords. Ava and Lena found themselves at the center of this flowering, lionized as the heroes who had broken the Vol's chains. Despite the endless demands on their time, stolen moments of tenderness passed between them. A love forged in the crucible of war. 20 years after the liberation, Ava stood in dress uniform before an assembly of the Interstellar Confederation, humanity's brainchild now grown into the galaxy's brightest beacon of hope. As the first human premier, it fell to her to plot the course of this grand experiment in unity. Looking out over the sea of faces, human and alien alike, Ava felt the weight of history on her shoulders. The ghosts of the fallen. The hopes of generations yet unborn. The promise of a galaxy remade. She thought of her daughter, now a cadet herself, and of the better universe she would inherit. The Vol sought to rule through fear, mistrust, and domination. Ava began, her voice carrying to every corner of the chamber. They believed that the only way to bring order was to crush all dissent, to erase all diversity. But they were wrong. Our strength comes not from conformity, but from our infinite variety. From the myriad paths we walk, the kaleidoscope of our cultures and creeds. We stand here today as living proof that the Vol's way was folly. That cooperation, not conquest, is the true path to peace. That empathy, not enmity, is the only way forward. We have forged this covenant through the crucible of war and the bonds of friendship. Let the galaxy remember this lesson. Let the light of our union be a beacon through the ages. As applause thundered through the hall, drowning out all else, Ava locked eyes with Lena across the sea of faces. In that gaze past all the trials they had weathered, the battles they'd fought, the scars they'd earned. But in Lena's smile, proud and radiant, Ava saw the promise of the future they'd won, a galaxy where their daughter and all the children of every species could grow and flourish in the light of peace. The road ahead would be long, the challenges myriad. There would be setbacks and stumbles, relapses into the old ways of distrust and division. The Vol's shadow could never be fully erased, only, with time and tireless effort, blunted. But with the Interstellar Confederation as their lodestar, with the hard-won wisdom of their shared ordeal to guide them, a brighter tomorrow beckoned, one where the dreams that had sustained a young xenobiologist and a weary soldier through the occupation's darkest days would at last be made manifest. A new age had dawned, a union of worlds that would carry the torch of hope through the centuries to come. The Vol had been wrong. It was not an empire of conquest that would endure, but an alliance of aspiration, one built not on the subjugation of the spirit, but its indomitable resilience, one that would carry the legacy of Earth and its unlikely heroes to the very stars. As the Interstellar Confederation flourished and grew, Ava and Lena found themselves settling into new roles. Ava, the soldier-turned-stateswoman, navigated the delicate dance of interstellar diplomacy, forging ever-stronger bonds between the disparate member worlds. Lena, the scientist-turned-visionary, unleashed a wave of technological marvels that transformed daily life for billions. Under their stewardship, the Confederation became a shining example of what a united galaxy could achieve. Joint research initiatives yielded breakthroughs in medicine, energy production, and terraforming. A common defense force, with ships crewed by members of a dozen species, patrolled the space lanes and kept the peace. Cultural exchange programs fostered understanding and empathy between once alien civilizations. But even as the Confederation reached new heights, the shadows of the past lingered. The Vol purists, though diminished, clung to their dreams of domination. In hidden bases and shadowy enclaves, they plotted their revenge against the species that had spurned their enlightened rule. Their chance came on the eve of the Confederation's 50th anniversary, a celebration meant to showcase the triumph of unity over division. As dignitaries from 100 worlds gathered on Earth, the purists struck. Sleeper agents and suicide squads sowed chaos across the planet, targeting the Confederation's leadership. Ava, now an elder stateswoman, found herself once again leading the charge against the Vol threat. Together with her daughter Mara, now a decorated general in her own right, she rallied the Confederation's forces and mounted a desperate defense. In the battle's pivotal moment, as the purists stormed the Confederation's Grand Assembly Hall, Ava found herself face to face with a ghost from her past, a Vol warlord she had clashed with during the liberation, now a purist fanatic. In a vicious duel, Ava was grievously wounded, her life spared only by Mara's intervention. As she lay bleeding in her daughter's arms, Ava beheld a sight that filled her heart with hope even as her life ebbed. Soldiers of every species, humans and Crocs and Vandari and Kilthar, fought side by side against the purist onslaught. In that moment, the dream of the Confederation stood manifest, a galaxy united, many peoples become one in purpose and resolve. With her last breath, Ava spoke to her daughter. "This is what we fought for," she whispered, her voice faint. "Not just the absence of tyranny, but the presence of fellowship. Carry that light forward, Mara. Let it guide you, as it guided us." With Ava's passing, it fell to Lena and Mara to lead the Confederation through its darkest hour. The purists were defeated, but at a terrible cost. Earth, the cradle of the Alliance, lay in ruins. The Grand Assembly Hall, the symbol of galactic unity, was a smoldering husk. But even in the depths of grief and despair, the peoples of the Confederation found strength in each other. Memorials were held on 100 worlds, the fallen hailed as martyrs for the cause of peace. Aid poured in from every corner of the galaxy, the member species vying to heal the wounded heart of their union. Under Lena's guidance, Earth was rebuilt, rising from the ashes stronger and more beautiful than before. The Grand Assembly Hall was restored, its walls adorned with murals depicting not just humanity's struggle, but the shared trials of every species. At its center stood a towering statue of Ava, a symbol of the sacrifices that had birthed the Confederation. As the years turned to decades, the Confederation continued to thrive. Mara took up her mother's mantle, becoming a leader renowned for her wisdom and compassion. Lena, now the Grand Matriarch of the Alliance, poured her boundless curiosity into unraveling the deepest mysteries of the cosmos. Under their watch, the Confederation expanded ever outward, making contact with civilizations from the farthest reaches of the galaxy. Some were wary at first, scarred by the memory of the Vol. But in time, they too came to see the value of unity, of a galaxy woven together by bonds of friendship and common purpose. On the 100th anniversary of the Vol's defeat, as countless worlds celebrated a century of peace, Lena, now ancient and frail, looked out across the grand assembly. Beings of every shape and hue filled the hall, a living tapestry of diversity. At the podium, Mara spoke of her mother's legacy, of the courage and sacrifice that had made this moment possible. As Lena listened, her thoughts drifted to the early days of the occupation. When the dream of a free galaxy had seemed an impossible fantasy, she thought of all the trials they had endured, the battles they had fought, the comrades they had lost. And she thought of Ava, her partner and soulmate, whose fierce spirit had carried them through the darkest of times. Tears welled in Lena's eyes, not of sorrow, but of joy. For in that moment she saw the culmination of a lifetime's struggle. A galaxy at peace, a union of worlds bound by love and understanding. A future where the horrors of war and oppression were but distant memories, where every child of every species could grow and flourish in the light of a better tomorrow. As Mara's speech reached its crescendo, the assembled masses rose in thunderous applause, and Lena, the last living link to that fateful first contact, felt a sense of profound closure wash over her. Her journey was complete, her purpose fulfilled. The galaxy was in good hands. With a peaceful sigh, Lena closed her eyes, a smile playing on her lips. She saw Ava waiting for her, hand outstretched, bathed in a warm and welcoming light. Together they would watch over the Confederation, guiding and guarding it from beyond the veil. And so, as the applause echoed across 100 worlds, as a galaxy celebrated the triumph of unity over division, the story of Ava and Lena, the heroes who had started it all, passed into legend. Theirs was a tale that would endure through the ages, inspiring generations yet unborn to carry the torch of peace and progress ever forward, to build a galaxy where the dreams of every heart could take flight and soar among the stars.